the emergency patch. We finally have the details, most of it anyway. We don't have the specific patch notes and breakdowns of what they've done to characters. We still have the overview, the breakdown, the skeleton of what we can expect to see in the emergency patch and when we're going to see it as well. One thing before I get started, I'm interested to know what you guys think and like the general consensus, because a lot of people have been talking about the communication from the Tekken team being quite interesting. You know, Harada Michael Murray made a few tweets, the official Tekken account tweeted, and then like that was it. That was kind of people were like, we're not saying anything. Why aren't they saying anything? They need to say more. But I'm interested in what you guys think, because you know, we had Michael Murray and Harada's tweets, we had the official Tekken account tweet and say emergency patch will be coming mid to late April. And then exactly the middle of April, the 15th of April, exactly where we are today, they then announced the emergency patch will be coming on the 17th. That's this Thursday. So me personally, I'm like, okay, they said mid to late April. In the middle of April, literally they have announced when it's going to be 2 days after that. Personally, I don't know. I want to know what you guys think about that. In terms of like the communication, is that good? Is that bad? Me personally, I think it's okay. You know, they did what they said they were going to do, does what it says on the tin. And that's basically what we have here. So here was the tweet from the Tekken team, well, from the Tekken Twitter. Emergency patch will be deployed to address the issues. Date and time, Thursday, April 17th, around 11 a.m. JST, which is like, I think that's like very early, like 2-3 a.m., something like that, my time, for something like that. So I might not be awake. I might stay awake just to take a look at it when it drops live, and we guys can take a look together. I'll be streaming probably, so you know, tune in for that. But there are some very interesting things to take away from this, right? So first off, balance adjustment policy. The development team acknowledges that following the season 2 update, the overall game balance has shifted too heavily towards offense. We sincerely apologize that the actual balance changes did not align with the development intentions and policy previously communicated to players. Now, I think that's a huge sentence there. It is an out and out apology. There's no excuse. It is acknowledging the issue. We communicated something else, and we delivered something that we didn't say we were going to, and people aren't happy with that. We deeply regret not being able to address the improvements and adjustments that the community had hoped for. I think that's insane. It's a complete out and out just apology. They understood this. I don't think in my time playing Tekken, I've seen anything like this. There have been some interesting changes. I've mentioned in the past Kazuya Mishima's homing hell sweep, and electric whiff recovery, and they just reverted the homing hell sweep, kept the electric whiff recovery. I mentioned that in the past. I don't think there was like an out and out express of remorse that we're seeing right here. Moving forward, we are committed to distinguishing between issues that can be addressed quickly and issues that require more time and community feedback for proper review. Big sentence there, community feedback. We will implement a step-by-step update process to improve the game experience. In the upcoming patch, we will fix known issues and begin a balanced review based on the following policy. The patch notes are scheduled to be released shortly before the update, around 10:30 a.m. JST. So just before the update goes live, we'll get the patch notes, which will tell us specifically what they have done to characters. So before we get into what they've actually done, I think this is huge. I think this is big. I think admitting their mistake, they're apologizing up front. I think this is very good from the tech team, very good from the devs. I think I've said before, I think the trust between the community, the trust the community has for the devs right now is at an all-time low. And I think acknowledging your mistakes and apologizing and saying we got it wrong is a very good step towards building that bridge once more. Now, the first point here is, I think, a very controversial point. I think I've seen people on both sides of the fence. I'll let you guys know my opinion later on. But first thing, increase the maximum health value to mitigate situations where matches are decided through overly one-sided momentum. So we're raising the health. We're gonna have more health. I don't know how much it's gonna be. I think how much is now 180, 185, something like that right now. I wonder how high that's gonna go. I think it's gonna be very interesting considering how the rest of the game is balanced, because I think that can have a very big knock-on effect depending on how that's implemented. But I'll get into my final thoughts later on. Gradual adjustments to overly high reward moves. This update addresses the overall inflation of attack strength and combo damage by implementing adjustments that can be done quickly to moves that provide excessive reward. We recognize this as a game-wide issue rather than a problem limited to specific characters, and we plan to continue reviewing and tuning these aspects progressively. So again, I think there seems to be an understanding of the issue. They say across the board, a lot of the characters have these moves that are doing way too much right now. They're way too rewarding, and we need to do something about that. For example, you got Steve's back 1+2 in heat, +11 into flicker stance, wall splats, does a lot of damage if he connects, does chip damage too. You've got Anna's jab strings into the rocket doing amazing chip damage. So stuff like this, there's, and those are just two examples at the top of my head. There's way more I could go into. So again, they understand across the board they need to look at these moves, look at all the characters and see what needs to be done. Examples of adjustments included in this update: balance adjustments to high performance moves that can repeatedly create advantageous situations and lead to one-sided gameplay. For instance, you have, you know, Jun doing forward 1+2, homing plus on block into stance. She can then do another homing move, mid plus on block from that stance, counter and launcher and stuff like that. You know, that was something you saw Jun doing this season. So again, I'm expecting moves like that to be addressed. Adjustment to moves with disproportionately high reward compared to their risk, ensuring fairer risk reward balance. I think this is huge. This is big. I've talked about this. One of my biggest issues with this season is it seems that they've created moves that are high risk, low reward. You know, you just do them, you just throw them out, you don't have to think, and that then creates a situation where, you know, the defender is dealing with these high pressure situations where even making a correct read doesn't really benefit them that much. Rebalancing the offensive and defensive aspects of the heat system. Currently, the benefits gained by the attacking player through the heat system are considered too great. The following adjustments have been made: revised damage scaling when using heat dash to suppress combo damage inflation, and adjusted frame damage on hit for heat engages, maintaining benefits for the attacker while allowing the defender more opportunities to respond. Now, I want to quickly stop there, because if you remember, just before season 2 release was the 29th of March, they released the balance adjustment overview, where they mentioned what their goals were for season 2, what they were trying to get done. They mentioned here regarding future adjustments. Additionally, in order to address issues pertaining to large frame advantage of heat activation and the excessive strength of heat dash, the development team is currently in the final stages of making adjustments geared towards reevaluating aspects that impact the strength of offense and also focus improvements in defense. The adjustments are scheduled to be completed by the opening of Tekken World Tour on May 9th. So again, this was the pre-Tekken World Tour patch. This was scheduled one before May 9th. And I feel like what they've done here is they've sped up the process now. Stuff like this, which we're going to do this before May 9th, has now been upgraded and put into the emergency patch we have now. So I think this scheduled patch we're going to have before May 9th, I think they've scrapped this one. Well, not really scrapped it, but what was going to be adjusted in that patch has now come forward in the emergency patch. So I wonder if that means chip damage for throws, because it's actually not mentioned in this taking chip damage for breaking a throw. They've not mentioned that in this, so I wonder if the emergency patch includes it. Additionally, adjustments have been made to chip damage as follows: reduced additional chip damage during heat. So if a move does chip damage outside of heat, it will not do any extra damage when they are in heat. Change the system so that moves which already deal chip damage do not receive extra chip damage while in heat state. I just explained that. And then future updates will also include adjustments to the amount of chip damage dealt by individual moves. Now, at the end of the day, I don't like chip damage. I think it's not working. Personally, I think it needs to go. I think you're punishing the defender way too much in this game. I think chip damage is a huge reason for that. My personal fix is you can keep recoverable life, but it only exists for combos, and chip damage as a whole just disappears. But I think they're really married to the concept for Tekken 8. So we have to they're looking at ways to make it work. Personally, I don't think they've done it yet. Hopefully they do find a way to make it work. And if we have any solutions, we should try our best to spread that to those guys and give them the ideas that they may need. And then in the next update planned for mid-May, adjustments will include reducing air combo damage and reevaluating the performance of heat burst. Additionally, we'll continue to review issues that could not be addressed in this update, such as moves that consistently create advantageous situations leading to one-sided matches, attacks with disproportionately high rewards relative to their risk. Moving forward, we remain committed to incorporating player feedback and will focus on resolving cases of overly dominant character performance and interactions that result in one-sided gameplay. Now, personally, I think all of this is a step in the right direction. I think they seem to have a grasp of what the problems are. It's just a case of fixing it is now the problem. And I think it's going to take some time, They're mentioning this as well. I think this is definitely going to be a process. I think we're going to gradually improve and improve and improve. Hopefully, I hope they just don't make things worse over and over and over again. But like, I do think we should be in a situation now where over time things will improve gradually. I do think competitively this is quite a problem though, because like they're saying mid-May, Evo Japan is scheduled for May 9th to May 11th. I think Combo Breaker is the week after, 2 weeks after. There's also Head Stomper and Brussels Challenge. There's four or five. I think BAM also is taking place in May. There are a lot of Tekken World Tour events taking place next month. And the version that is going to be played at Evo Japan may drastically differ from the version that's played at BAM or Combo Breaker, a Head Stomper, Brussels Challenge. So, and again, these are also all EWC qualifiers as well. So there is a lot on the line at these events. You know, Tekken World Tour points, EWC potential qualification. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that is dealt with by competitors such as myself. As I think about this, I may be playing multiple versions of a game within a span of 3 weeks while trying to compete for major events. That's scary. So simply looking at all of this, I think this is huge. I think this is big. I think acknowledging their mistakes and apologizing and saying we deeply regret, I feel like this is it's not something I'm used to seeing from the Tekken team, and I welcome it. Obviously, I think this is huge. But I'm still waiting to see the action. I'm still waiting to see how they're going to resolve this, what they're going to do specifically. So that's what I'm kind of waiting for and interested in as well. Now, another thing I do have to mention, and I might put this in the title as well, so you know this is coming. Harada's tweeted. Harada's made a few tweets after this dropped, right? The life bar increase is also one of the measures we have been taking since the time of arcade release. And of course, completely apart from this, we will also be tuning the parameters of each character. We will continue to revamp the entire game as quickly as possible after this patch, and I'll be updating it consistently, so please wait for more information. So again, that just goes back to what I'm saying. Multiple versions of the game can be being played over months. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that is balanced. And how drastic the changes are, really, because you could have huge mentor shifts for a character. And, you know, say your character lawyer is competing in this tournament. I did well. I almost qualified. I'm looking forward to the next one. And then bam, your character's your legs are taken out from underneath you. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do this. I do think there has to be drastic change through a lot of the things in this game. I made multiple videos talking about what I think are the issues. And I think it's going to be very strange to see how that is dealt with. But then moving on to the next tweet. So someone said, left it to Harada saying, thank you for listening to community feedback. Despite the unwanted backlash, I'm hopeful you bring Tekken 8 back to an enjoyable place for the players. He says, I personally do not think this backlash is at all unjustified. I recognize that it is a natural occurrence and we have no choice but to respond by continuing to update. I think like statements like this, you know, from the apologies here, Harada saying the backlash is not unjustified. This is the result of our actions and what we have done and what we have given the player base. I think this is huge. Genuinely, I think the sentiments that are being expressed is very big. And then his last tweet, the battle team is already developing day and night for the next update. There'll be more updates in the future, including parameter adjustments for each character and art, so please wait for more information. And again, I think this is very interesting communication. We're getting straight up admissions of remorse and apologies. We could have done better. We should have done better. We regret what we have given you. This isn't what we communicated. And I think this stuff should go a long way to bridging the gap between the community and the devs and this broken trust we have right now. Obviously, that's up for people like you to decide, right? So do you guys see something like this, and does it build confidence in Harada and the Tekken team? Are you looking forward to seeing what they have to do? I think I'm more on the side of, I think this is good. I think this is nice. I appreciate this, but I still need to see what they bring to the table, what these updates are going to be specifically, what they do to characters specifically, because that will show me whether or not they truly understand what the issues are and what we don't want to deal with, and what is, you know, the difference between what is acceptable and going too far, right? So again, I do appreciate this. I think it's good that they're giving these apologies. They're being very open. They're saying, you know, this isn't unjustified backlash. We messed up. I think this is very, very, very good. But this emergency patch will tell us a lot about the direction they're looking to go in and how they're looking to remedy and fix these issues. So at the end of the day, I think this is a good thing. I think we have a lot to look forward to. I'm excited to see the balance patch, the emergency patch notes, what that says for specific characters. Again, I don't think the balance patch is going to be, the emergency patch will be huge. I don't think there's going to be game-breaking, meta-defining changes in there because it's only been 2 weeks since season 2 released, and obviously they've been saying they've been working around the clock. They're taking in feedback. They're listening to this, and this. So I don't have a lot of hope that the emergency patch fixes all of the issues, but I think it's going to be interesting. Like, I think one thing I'm really interested to see is the frame advantage changes on heat engages. Like, they're plus 17 right now. That's been a huge talking point. You know, that's too much, especially with characters being able to go into full crouch after heat engage. What does it go to now? You know, I think stuff like that really opens up the mind game on both sides, gives the defenders more options, exactly what we've been asking for. So let's see what this emergency patch brings. I think the jury is out right now. I think I am feeling a lot more optimistic from hearing what they've had to say, and this acknowledgement that we've made a mistake. We need to go the other way. Obviously, my fix was just go back to season 1. I never thought they were going to do that. But it would have, I think, just for competitively what's happening over the next month or so, I was like, it might just be the best course of action. So yeah, that's gonna be all from me on this one. Please let me know what you guys think. Like, is this good from Harada, W Tekken team? Is this exactly what you want to see, or are you waiting to see more? Do you think this is too little too late? I'm very interested to see what people have to say. So with that said, thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.